How do you travel for cheap? How do you ball out on a budget abroad? How do you find the best travel deals? How are these people traveling for free or for these like incredibly low prices where they're getting like an entire month somewhere for like $500? Let's talk about it. Let's like talk about it for real, because I know there are a lot of amazing travel creators on this app, but I feel like some of them are not really giving you all the details in terms of what it truly takes to get the best travel deals and what it actually means to travel for the low. So go ahead and get ready to save this one. So first things first, and I am primarily talking to the Americans because I am American. And so like that's the perspective that I am speaking from. And the first thing I want to say to you is that if you are traveling to other countries and you are constantly demanding the American standard, the chances of you being able to truly travel on the low are slim. Like it's just, those are facts. Let me tell you why. America is not the most financially rich country in the world, but it is the most financially rich country that I have been to. And in terms of like how like nice, modern, updated, whatever you want to say, in terms of like how modern those are, how modern like things are in the United States, you're not going to get that everywhere you go. I'm going to give you a perfect example. For pretty much the entire month of March 2024, me and my husband stayed in Vietnam, and we had an apartment, a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment for $800, a little bit less than $800 for the entire month. A great deal, right? Now, if you go and look at this listing on Airbnb, it is considered a luxury apartment. And it was the apartment super cute? Yeah, it was. I even have a video of it on my page somewhere. It was a super cute apartment. However, if you were to go somewhere in the United States and they were to call it luxury, it would have been at least 25% nicer than the place that we stayed at. So if I would have gone into that scenario with like my lens of like, oh, it's going to be American luxury, we would have been disappointed and we would not have stayed there, because that's just facts. Even whenever I was traveling in Egypt, y'all, the things that I booked that said first class, that would be like a joke to be even considered regular economy whenever I was there. And I'm not saying this to throw shade at these countries, y'all. I've had incredible experiences in so many countries that are financially poorer than the United States. Like, and that's just, I don't have to travel in luxury all the time. But I just want to be honest about what that looks like for people who are American and you want to ball out on a budget, but you expect to go somewhere and then stay in these like American luxurious looking places for the low. It's not going to happen. Now, let's talk about cheap travel destinations. So those of you who have been following me, you know that I am in Thailand. You know, I've also been in Indonesia. I've been in Vietnam. So like, if you're in the travel space, then you know that like Southeast Asia is known for being extremely cheap if you are making USD, right? US dollar. So the thing about the whole like cheap travel destinations is, yes, you can absolutely go to places where the US dollar is stronger and, you know, everything is going to seem like it is super cheap. Yes, you can do that. However, keep in mind, there are a few caveats. The first thing is, if that country is still a popular tourist destination, you still are going to get inflated prices. So y'all, like I told y'all, I paid $800, right? We paid $800 for a whole month in Vietnam, right? We have not been able to find anything like that in Thailand, even though technically Thailand is technically, I guess, richer than Vietnam if you look at, what is it, GDP or whatever. But in terms of like comparing prices, like, y'all, we were eating $2 meals in Vietnam, we eat $2 meals here in Thailand. Like, they are both really cheap countries, but because Thailand is the sexier destination and people here know that Thailand is a very popular travel destination, Vietnam is a popular travel destination, but it's still like up and coming. So because of that, it's harder to find like a really like cheap deal in Thailand, unless two things, and I'm gonna break them down one at a time. The first thing is you are willing to, again, like lower your standards for where you're going to stay. And then number two, you are able to book super far in advance. I'm gonna come back to that one. Right now, I wanna talk about right now. I was gonna say for you now, and I was gonna say right now. Right now, I wanna talk about the standard, right? Because I see people up here like, look at this hotel I stayed at for like 50 bucks a night, or look at this Airbnb I stayed at for only like $500 a month. And y'all, me and my husband have been abroad for several months. I can't even count how many Airbnbs we've stayed in right now. Like, I would need to like sit down and write them down. And here's what I will tell you about these Airbnbs. Could we find a place in Thailand to stay for $500 a month, $700 a month? Absolutely. Would we be willing to stay there? Hell no. No, I'm gonna be honest with you. We wouldn't. Like, do these places exist? Yes. But if you are not willing to truly live in a space that looks like what a lot of like local people here live in, then like you're gonna look right past that. Like you're not even gonna look in that direction. Like the Airbnb that we are in right now, we paid $1,000 for the full month. It's not great. It's not horrible. You see that? This is the living room. You see the refrigerator back there? That stupid shit like that pisses me off. But we're here. We wanted to budget $1,000 for the month, and that's what we did. So that's why we are here. If you would have paid a little bit more, we probably could have been in a place that was a little bit nicer, newer, you know what, whatever. So you have to think about what you're willing to put up with. One other quick thing about that is it also depends on your travel scenario. Are you a solo traveler? Are you with a partner? Are you with a friend? Are you with children? So me and my husband have recognized that like we just cannot do like one room type shit, like hotels, suites, studio apartments. Like we can do that for like 3-4 nights, but outside of that, at the bare minimum, we need a living room. So I will also say that if you are a solo traveler, a studio apartment might not be like a big deal for you. So for that, you can probably still get something for like under $1,000 a month. That's still pretty cute. But for me and my husband, it's like at bare minimum, there has to be a living room. If it has 2 bathrooms, chef's kiss, which right now we're in a place that does have a living room and 2 bathrooms. But going back to the other thing, there are some people out there, y'all, who are just so on it. They're booking their stuff 6, 7, 8 months, sometimes a year in advance. I'm not one of those people. I'm not. Like, we're living abroad. Like, we're literally going from country to country. So we're not booking things super far in advance, which means that we're not getting the best deals we could be getting, especially for like monthly stays, right? If we're booking a monthly stay a month or less in advance, obviously our options are going to be a lot more limited versus if we book really far in advance. So you also have to consider like how far in advance are you booking, because that does make a really big difference on the types of travel deals that you're going to get. But let me also quickly say that booking far in advance has its downsides as well, right? Like you can't be as flexible unless you just happen to get something that's like really like the refund policy is like, oh, 100% refundable or whatever. But honestly, that's rare. But otherwise, like it's not as easy to be flexible if you book super far in advance. So for example, when me and my husband first came to Bangkok, we were only going to stay in Bangkok for 5 nights. And then we realized we love Bangkok, so we wanted to stay longer. If we had things booked up for the next several months, we would not have been able to make that decision. So at the end of the day, everything has its advantages and disadvantages. I feel like on my lives, a lot of people have asked me like, how much money do you need to save for living abroad or to move abroad? And I've told people, to me, you don't necessarily need a large lump sum of money to move abroad as long as you have, income coming in. However, what I will say is that if you do want to get the best deals and you do want to be able to book further out in advance, then I would recommend having some money put aside for that. And I'm gonna come back to putting money aside later. Now, whenever it comes to truly getting the best flight deals, this is something not enough travel creators are talking about this. I'm gonna give y'all the tea on how you are really going to get the absolute best travel flight deals. Let's talk about flights specifically. Sometimes hotels as well, but like especially flights. You see people like, oh, I flew to Barcelona for $200. I flew to Egypt for $500. Let me tell you how they're doing that. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Do you have a bank account set up for travel? Because the absolute best way to get flight deals is to have some sort of alert system set up. Some website where you are able to be notified when those bomb-ass flight deals come through. And not only be notified, but you are ready to book when they come through. Y'all, I remember I got an email come through. It was like less than $300 to fly to Senegal in West Africa, round trip. Y'all, I was like, what? The dates didn't work for me. But anyways, that's something people are not talking about enough, is like having an account for travel. That's like my biggest budget travel tip. If you really want to be able to take advantage of the hot deals, be ready when the hot deals drop, y'all. And that's why I love Opportune, because Opportune automatically saves money for you. I've had a travel account with Opportune for years. It's an online bank account. Once you sign up and connect your account, literally it does automatic savings for you, so you don't even have to think about it. And you can add and take out as needed. And if you use my referral, you do get a $5 sign up bonus. So let me know. It's at the top of my page, but let me know if you have any questions about that. And then the other thing about getting the best travel deals is being flexible with your travel dates. Stop being like, oh, these are the dates I'm traveling and going to look for flight prices. Go look at the flight prices ahead of time. Use something like Google Flights or Kiwi and let them tell you when to fly. Another thing my husband and I have learned while living abroad as Americans is that when you spend a lot of time with other Americans, you spend more money. Even in these cheap ass countries, whenever we hang out with other American people, we always end up spending more money. It always happens. Like when we were in Brazil, we were literally like, yo, what are we doing? We left the United States because we were like, it's not affordable here anymore. We want to go somewhere where, our dollar is going to go further. And we're out here going out multiple times a week, spending $30 here, $50 here, $60 here. We were like, bro, we don't even do this in the States. So just be mindful of who you're spending your time around. The people who are really going to know how to ball out on a budget are locals. And that's why I always tell people, get with the locals. Find out where the locals go. That's how you are really going to make your dollar stretch. You can go to, like a cheap country with your American friends, but just understand, like, you're still going to spend more money if you're hanging out with those people. I promise you, me and my husband have tested this multiple times over the last several months. And y'all, there are levels to everything. There are some things you're going to be willing to spend more on, some things you're not going to want to spend a lot of money on. My husband just brought me lunch for like $1.50, y'all. Like, we get delicious meals in Thailand for the low. But you know what? We don't take the train. We take Grab or Bolt, which is like the Uber here. We could save money by taking the train, but we just haven't actually gotten around to figure that out yet. So there's also deciding what you want to spend your money on. And for the people who love to talk about all the ways that you can travel for free by doing things like volunteering or like house sitting, I think those things are amazing. I actually talk about a lot of those in my budget travel masterclass. I think those things are amazing. Just keep in mind the type of travel experience you want to have, because me and my husband actually considered using trusted house sitters, like doing like, pet sitting for the month of August. And then we were like, bro, one of the main reasons we're living like we're living is because we have no kids, no pets, no mortgage. If we decide to go house sit for someone else's pet, then that's going to limit the things that we could do. So we decided it's not for us. That might be fine for you. But again, think about the type of travel experience that you want to have. And the last thing that I want to say is, y'all, like, with travel, inevitably, you are going to end up spending more money than you think you will. It happens. And most of the time, it's going to be related to your peace of mind, or it's going to be related to convenience. I can't tell you how many times me and my husband, well, probably like 4 times, since we left the States, we have gone to the wrong location in a taxi and just ended up paying him money, like cash, out of our pocket, because what are we going to do? Get out of the car with all of our shit and try to call another one? No, don't even get me started on baggage fees. Like, most of the time you end up spending more than you anticipate, and that's okay as long as it's worth it for you. Like, we know that travel is really important for us, and like, it's just part of it. At the end of the day, it's worth it. So that's what I have to say on how to travel for the low. Let me know what questions you have. Save this video and hit that follow button.